Wiggle, 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 yeah. My name is Jeannette Kern. I am half German, half Indian, a pre-counseling major, and I'm a junior at Moody Bible Institute. My mom is German, my dad is Indian. I grew up on a British boarding school tucked away in these little picturesque mountains of India. I initially definitely did not want to come to Moody. I remember going to church and hearing somebody sing in fluent English, and at this point I had been away from people who had been talking English, so I went and I was like, hey, why don't you have a German accent? And she's like, oh, I went to Moody Bible Institute. I was like, okay, cool. I'm not an emotionally driven person, but I had this awful feeling I would end up here. And 2 years later, I did. I definitely don't think Moody has been very easy. I think this is where I'm supposed to be right now. It's taken me a while to come to that point. I found it really hard. Some of the difficulties when I came into Moody was just being in an environment where you're surrounded by Christians, who are here mainly because they're wanting to serve Christ on the mission field and go out. But I felt like I didn't see a lot of Christ, I just saw people who wore how hardworking they were or how Christian they were as a front, and not much was talked about like things that were difficult. I felt like it was quite a superficial culture. So people being superficial was really annoying to me. It was super irritating. It annoyed me the most, and I think this is just part of the American culture. I didn't really have culture shock like in the American culture or whatever. I think I had more of a Christian shock, and I think it was like I didn't understand why people walked around like they were perfect and that they had it all together. They prayed all the time. That they were living perfect. Like, I don't understand, because I think that totally undermines why we are Christians. The root of Christianity foundationally is that we need Christ, that we're not good enough and therefore we need him. And I didn't know why we didn't talk about our struggles. I didn't know why people didn't encourage each other more often, why people were actually kind of taken aback when you're like, no, actually what's going on? Like, that sounds like something could be difficult there or whatever. And people were like astounded that somebody would, want to dig a bit deeper. I think that shocked me the most. I remember going to a girl on my floor and just chatting to her, and she was just like, sometimes I feel like I don't even feel the presence of God, And I was like, yeah, I felt that for the last, year and a half or whatever. And she's like, whoa, really? If I had said that to anybody else, they would have just been like, pray about it. I'll pray for you, They kind of just put this plaster over the situation without actually dealing with what's at hand. Initially, I was super cynical. I was super rude as well and very blunt to people. I'd call them out. I'd be like, why do you do that? Those layers have kind of been removed. I'm not as cynical anymore, and rather I think I'm more kind and approachable about these things rather than bashing people about it. When you're honest, and when you want to deal with your struggles, when you want to build community, you can't help but grow. Even if you are sad for a whole week, at least you allow yourself to be sad for that certain amount of time so you can regain the strength and the encouragement with the people you surround to get over it. We just need to be more honest, because believe it or not, there are more people struggling than we care to admit. There's definitely a lot more pain on this campus than we are willing to talk about. There's a lot more doubt in God than people are willing to put or wear on their sleeve, So I think we need to talk more about these things.